the 5. So I guess it's fair to say that Cory Booker, the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, didn't plan to start his week off in the way that it has. He was on the Sunday show Meet the Press on Sunday, where he had a truthful moment, I think, spoken from the heart about attacks on both Jeremiah Wright and on private equity, saying that both should be off limits and we should focus as a country on the problems at hand. 4 hours later, YouTube video pops up walking those things back. And then, even a day later on MSNBC, Mayor Booker had this to say.
My outrage and really my frustration was about the cynical, negative campaigning, the manipulating of the truth. And so here they are plucking sound bites out of that interview to manipulate them in a cynical manner, to use them for their own purposes. And that slogan is really what had me and basically my entire staff really fit to be tied. The reality is that the Barack Obama team in the White House and their political team have been good to me for many, many years. They have never pressured me to do anything. They've done nothing but encourage me. And in this case in particular, I certainly did talk with campaign officials, but they didn't force me to do anything.
I'm sure not. I wonder if he was as upset about the Obama campaign editing his 4-minute video down to a 35-second clip that really helped fuel the fire. One of the things he says, he's being used by the GOP, Greg. And to me, it was more like the Democrats are using him. They've used him for 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like his position is devolving. But, you know, can I just make a point before I talk about this? During the break, because I had a bad stomach, I left. I ran into O'Reilly. So O'Reilly did a phoner from the building. That's why I love the man. Anyway, okay, speaking of which, it seems like truth is like food poisoning to politicians. I mean, we actually had to walk back the truth. I mean, what is next? Are you going to have to apologize for things you didn't say but should have said? It's kind of weird how we've entered this world where you don't know what could get you into trouble. I happen to agree with what he said on both sides, that both sides raise ridiculous issues when we know they really don't mean that much. But we do that to score points. That's what he was saying, and he had to walk it back. That's sad.
Vice President Cheney used to have a great saying that you never get in trouble for something you didn't say. He probably wishes that he would have said that he was busy on Sunday and not do Meet the Press, which proves my theory, Bob's not here for me to talk about it, that nothing good happens on a Sunday show for the administration. Andrea, one of the things that political parties don't like is like one-on-one violence. So Republican on Republican violence or Democrat on Democrat violence. They've spent 3 days trying to figure this out, and yet still they have people within the Democratic circle saying, yes, but we don't think these attacks against private equity are working.
And I think this is going to continue. I think that you have a number of Democrats, from Chuck Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand in New York, that rely on private equity and rely on Wall Street money. If the media actually acts courageous and goes out and asks them what they think, they might contradict too. So I think this is going to keep going if other Democrats are asked about it. But I do think that the campaign is not just being sloppy, but incredibly naive. If you look in '94, when Kennedy ran this playbook against Mitt Romney, it worked in Massachusetts because it was Kennedy. No one dissented in Massachusetts against the Kennedy family. The Boston Globe is like the Kennedy family newsletter, and so they went along with it. This is so different on a national level, and I think you're going to just see these attacks continue, and more Democrats who rely on that money and that support, like a Cory Booker, say,
we just got 1 minute left. Really? I just found out we have 1 minute because I want to get to something that is interesting, because it's this kind of rhetoric, I think, that led Cory Booker to say this in the first place. Let's listen to Congressman Clyburn.
There's something about raping companies and leaving them in debt and setting up Swiss bank accounts, incorporating businesses in the Grand Caymans. I have a real serious problem with that.
All right, so later on, Congressman Clyburn said that rape is actually a synonym for rob or plunder. So does that make it better?
Well, if it is, then I think President Obama's he's raping the American taxpayer, and he's not even giving us a dinner or a glass of wine, a cocktail. Representative, by the way, President Obama said he pushed back on Clyburn's comments, so that's a good sign. The other thing is Cory Booker very quickly needs A, private equity, B, also needs the Obama administration, because he was on the fast track in the Democratic Party. He's got to figure out where he's going, what his end game is.
Juan, Cory Booker, I think, has a strong, bright future in politics in the country. But one of the things that Alex Burns of Politico, who I like to follow on Twitter, said that, does anyone think Cory Booker's talking points on BAME could make it through a 15-minute interview with a skeptical questioner? Do you think he's in a little bit of trouble?
No, well, I don't know. He's certainly not in trouble with Wall Street and people that he would rely on if he wants to be U.S. Senator. And I don't think I don't even think he's in that much trouble with the Democratic Party. Cory Booker's a pretty popular guy.
Yeah.
So he'll do fine. But I think that, Cory Booker was wrong. I think this is a legitimate and real argument to be had about not only Mitt Romney's past in terms of being a businessman, because he says that that's why he should be president, but I think you can also have a legitimate argument about President Obama's stewardship of the economy. So what's wrong with that? And Bain, look, it's out there. It's right on the table. Everybody's going to discuss it. I'd rather have that discussion than Reverend Wright and any kind of...
Or Solyndra.
He was comparing Wright to Bain, though.
Yes.
Wasn't that what...
No, he said they were both extraneous to the heart of the conversation.
We're missing the heart of the story is why would Cory Booker walk back the comments so quickly? It was literally hours after it aired.
Because Cory Booker, even though I don't think he's in trouble.
No way, Juan. Higher than U.S. Senator.
No, he want to be president.
All right, we gotta run.
Well, no. But I think that Cory Booker realizes that Republicans are now exploiting this and making it out like Cory Booker stabbed him in the back and saying, oh, look, it's not only Cory Booker, it's people like Harold Ford of Tennessee and Steve Ratner. And you know what? All these guys work for Wall Street.
Rendell. We could go on, but we have to go. Coming up, the lecture that's being heard across the country. Listen to this.
You will not disrespect the President of the United States in this classroom.
Greg is going to have a little bit of something on that because the teacher is being taught a lesson of her own. That's next on The Five.